fourth point is insulin administration is required for survival. Yes, absolutely. For survival, we need insulin. The insulin administration by either by muscular or otherwise uh, maybe by superficial, like the pen type is also there, okay, nowadays, and you can use any type of insulin administration, no problem. But you should not maybe use insulin on a particular area for a constant period, okay, maybe for 3 months or 4 months in the same area, okay, you should not. You can use different parts like a thigh or otherwise the hand, the back side of the thigh. Maybe you can use the different areas on a different day. That is better, okay, that will create a lot of complications. And here the insulin administration is not required for the survival, because here the survival is not a problem, but at the same time insulin administration is not needed because they need some medication. We'll come to that part later. And pancreas is damaged by autoimmune attack. The pancreas, especially the Langerhans cells or tissues, may be damaged by autoantibodies, that is the autoimmune system. The pancreas is not damaged and the insulin levels are normal, surprisingly, because insulin is normal, but insulin is not working properly because due to the over body weight, because insulin may be produced for a particular weight. A 70 kilo is the normal weight of a human being, especially for the male. If you are above 70 kilo, what will happen? So based on the BMR ratio, okay, there is a BMR, body basal metabolic rate. And basal metabolic rate is very important, okay, to calculate what is your normal weight. And if you are above BMR, so that means you have to reduce your weight. If a person is obese, the insulin is secreted in the body, but it is not sufficient to control the diabetes, that is the hyperglycemia, the elevated levels of glucose. So what is the remedy for that? Whether the taking medication is enough? So I got type 2 diabetes mellitus and started taking the medicine, but I will not do any exercise, okay, to reduce my body weight. This is not a good practice. So they have to reduce their weight. If it is genetic, maybe if you are trying to reduce your weight, it is not possible. So that is a different case because it is a metabolism actually. Some of the persons, okay, they will eat very less quantity at the same time, okay, they will put a lot of weight. And some of them, they will take plenty of food, but they will not accumulate any fat on their belly. So this is a gift, okay, from God, okay, because the energy metabolism is very efficient in the second case, that is the burning all the energy or fuel cells or fat cells in the form of heat, okay. So these are all the complications. A person should maintain his normal weight, okay, under type 2 diabetes mellitus. And absolute insulin deficiency is also there, okay, in the type 1 diabetes mellitus, and relative insulin deficiency and or insulin resistance. Usually the 80 to 90% is insulin resistance. Insulin is there, insulin can bind to the receptor, but it will not give the results. That means the cascade mechanism is not working properly. At the same time, insulin is modified. Modified means the 3D, the configuration of the insulin is modified, okay, due to some mutation or something. The insulin is there actually, but there is no function. And the next one is absolute insulin deficiency, and the treatment, we have to take insulin. That is insulin administration. Okay, that is the only remedy for that, type 1. Type 2 is a healthy diet, increased exercise, hypoglycemic tablet, and insulin injections. For a particular period, we can take some hypoglycemic tablets. Okay, maybe after maybe 20 years or 25 years of taking hypoglycemic tablets, that may be saturated. Your body maybe that may be adjusted with the load of the xenobiotic. What will happen next? Again, we have to go for insulin injection. And insulin injection also, we have to start with the minimal dose and slowly we have to increase to maintain the normal level. Okay, this is a fate of type 1 and type 2 diabetes mellitus based on the phenotypic characteristics. Next, coming to the genotype. So this is genotype. The first one is type 1 diabetes mellitus, increase the prevalence in relatives. Here also, increase the prevalence in relatives. That is genetic. That means if a person getting a type 1 or type 2, approximately 50 to 60, 70% also, maybe that is possible. That may be from genetic, that means from the parents. If a person having a father and mother, okay, father is a diabetic and mother is not non-diabetic, and he is having the possibility of getting the diabetes 50%. But at the same time, he is having the possibility of getting the diabetes more than 50% for the type 2. The type 1 is 50%. Type 2 is more than 60%. But both father and mother both have the complications of diabetes mellitus, and maybe we can have a conclusion that is the person, okay, having both mother and father, okay, have diabetes, they will get 100% diabetes mellitus. So that is why the genotype play a major role, and you know very well this is HLA association is related with type 1, and there is no HLA association with type 2. Okay, and recently the type 2 diabetes mellitus is very common in younger generation because they are not doing their physical exercises, the routine work. It is called a sedentary life. Sedentary means simply sitting on a chair for nearly for 8 hours to 10 hours. Just you can have a look, okay, what is the atmosphere of IT companies and all. Including in the younger generation, they are not including move their pen or pencil, something. Simply sitting. If you develop type 2 diabetes mellitus, and this will create lot of complications day by day. There is no possibility of reducing the complication unless if you are taking some steps to reduce your weight, or otherwise maintaining the normal physique, and also the normal medication, like if it is type 1, insulin, if it is type 2, the healthy food, and also hypoglycemic tablets. It is must. If anyone is saying, okay, I have a very good formula, a herbal formula to control my diabetes mellitus. No, I saw so many patients, okay, maybe they did a lot of research. They are doing the research. That means they don't know what is the meaning of research, but they are taking some herbal combinations sold by some commercial companies, and finally they all end up with the complications of kidney failure or liver failure, or otherwise absolutely they will lose their, okay, the vision and also the hearing loss. So this may happen. So a person with type 1 and type 2, they can live, okay, a normal life, but they have to take a precaution, and they have to manage the diabetes in an effective manner. So that is the main thing I want to say, okay, this point to all the younger generation. And you're all, maybe you're from science field, you know very well about what is the metabolism and how to utilize it in an effective manner and efficient manner. Okay. What is the reason for more non-insulin dependent diabetes mellitus when compared to IDDM? You can ask the question, why this is more? NIDDM is more, that is type 2 is more than type 1. So main reason is obesity, taking of fat-rich food, and increased junk food intake. Junk food means, okay, no, all the without any preparation or any proper the nutritional balance, nothing is rich in carbohydrate, that's all. Okay, and junk food may be available in the market, okay, maybe in the shops, okay, in the road. It's easy to prepare, just they will put some, okay, some stuff, and they will make it and give it to you, that's all. Nothing is there. But the food is very important. Food means our body needs all the composition. That means carbohydrates, a particular point is required, and protein is also required, and also lipids also required. I'm not saying, okay, lipid is bad. We need lipid to survive. Okay, lipid is beautiful molecule actually. If you are able to manage the lipid with all the cocktail of, okay, the nutritional factors, like carbohydrates, proteins, and the lipid combination with more antioxidant property, that is like more fiber and also more pigments, natural pigments. So that is a real healthy food. Whether all the students are taking the vegetables daily? No. Whether all the students or maybe all the persons are taking the fruits daily? No. So that is must. And green leafy vegetables are really needed because that is rich in antioxidants, and that will maybe supplement all the vitamins, especially vitamin B6 and B12. And taking egg is also good. So once in a while, or otherwise maybe 2 days once or 3 days once for the younger generation, like the persons below 25 years of age. But more than 25 years of age, maybe you can reduce it to weekly 2. And then if it is 30 years of age, weekly 1 or 2, and 40, weekly 1. And if you are removing the egg yolk and taking the white, means there is no limitation. You can take as much eggs as possible, because the egg yolk is rich in fat, especially cholesterol. The cholesterol cannot be properly handled by the elderly people. So that is why mostly the doctors, the medical practitioners, they are saying that the removal of the egg yolk from the boiled egg. So that is the best one. Second one is sedentary lifestyle. Sedentary means without moving anything, maybe no physical exercise, simply sitting in a home watching TV, or otherwise nowadays all the streaming platforms are available. Amazon Prime and also Netflix, everything is on mobile phone. All the persons watching mobile phone nearly for 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, and there is no proper sleep also. The sleep is very, very important. Without sleep we cannot live, and minimum 5 to 6 hours, bare minimum is 6 hours. And if you are sleeping for 8 hours, you are all a healthy person. This 8 hours means 1 hour in between a break, not like that. Yeah, continuous sleep for 8 hours. If you are sleeping for 8 hours in a day, and if you are doing the healthy life, sure, you can live up to 100 years of age without any complications. The last one, it is not a least, there is the last one. It's very important, stress. Now all the persons, including the teachers, working in the colleges, they have stress, because we are all teaching by using online platform. So that is not an effective method of teaching to the students, because we have to see the faces of the students to explain everything. Unfortunately, now we have to do that. But the slowly, the condition is maybe the condition is coming to the normal level. But instead, maybe we have to do some that is de-stressing maybe the formalities in the college. The stress is a major factor that may kill a person also. Maybe if you are using some of the scientific experiments, if you have a cage, and if you have a mice, and if you are keep on giving the stress to the mice, ultimately the second day the mice will die. So this is an example to a person also. Have you heard about a person, a boy, and the school boy playing a mobile game? The mobile very famous mobile game. I should not use the name. And that mobile game he played for nearly 2 hours after his online classes. So the 2 hours of stress, it made the complete hemorrhage on his brain, especially the cerebral cortex area. That is because that is very active, for the maybe the mental activity. So he died only because of that, to the core level of stress. So all these complications are rising day by day. So only because of this, we have the complication of type 2 diabetes mellitus. And what is the complication? This is hypertension. This hypertension is also will create a lot of complication. Nowadays, the younger generation with 23, 25 years of age also, they are getting the complication like high blood pressure level. And genetics, absolutely. So due to the genetics, we may get the type 2 diabetes mellitus, sedentary lifestyle, obesity, aging, dyslipidemia, and glucose intolerance. Glucose intolerance, that is purely genetic. And some of the persons, they have the abnormality in the gene level, and this may be very common. Until 40 years, there is no worries. And if they are approaching 40 years, automatically all these complications will slowly emerge. You can ask the question, sir, why this is happening? Maybe in 40 years. I'm not giving the clear age group that is 40, including I got diabetes in the year of maybe 38. Now my age is 49. Just imagine. So we have to live with the diabetes. And 38 is very young age when compared to 40. So it depends how much workload you took and how much stress you have, what is the lifestyle you are living, and what is the food intake. So everything depends. Okay, that will play a major role in the early onset of non-insulin dependent diabetes mellitus. The early onset means, okay, that may be very in a young age, that is 30 years or 35 years, they will get it. Usually that is very peculiar. Usually the age is above 40, that is for NADDM. Nowadays, okay, 30-year boy, including 23, 27 years also they are getting it. This is purely, okay, not genetic, so this is lifestyle changes. Okay. And the major pathways, they're coming more scientifically now, and the major pathways impacted by currently used antidiabetics. Now we have the antidiabetics for diabetes control, insulin and insulin analogs. Okay, and we can categorize the different mode of action. That is, the first one is correct insulin deficiency. The insulin deficiency has to be corrected. Okay, if insulin is normal, the remaining other 4 parameters, that is stimulate insulin secretion and decrease hepatic glucose production and increase muscle glucose utilization and retard carbohydrate absorption. First one is insulin. This will compensate the insulin deficiency. The second one is sulfonylureas, that will stimulate the urine, that is insulin secretion. And the third one is glanides, okay, that is also doing the same job. And biguanides, okay, that is decreasing the hepatic glucose production and increase the muscle glucose utilization. Both will be performed by biguanides. And glitazone, okay, that is doing the same job. And the last one is here, that is alpha glucosidase inhibitors, that will inhibit retarding the carbohydrate absorption. The carbohydrates are formed, maybe the monomers of carbohydrates are formed. For example, if you are taking a potato, a fried potato or something, or a boiled potato, after the digestion, the starch is a major component of potato, and the starch is completely hydrolyzed into glucose. So this glucose has to be absorbed. So this absorption is maybe delayed. Retardation means a delay, not stopped. So this absorption is not going to be stopped. This is retarded, delay in the absorption. If there is a delay, a slow absorption of glucose may be possible. So this slow absorption will not create a spike or otherwise a steep increase in the concentration of glucose, okay, in the blood circulation. There is a slow and steady increase of glucose level. So that is why you should not eat a bulk quantity of food if you have diabetes. You can eat maybe the small quantity. I will not say you should not eat maybe rice, or you should not eat any fruits. You can have all the different types of food or fruit, whatever maybe, but in limited quantities. If you're taking 2 or 3 bananas, that may kill a person. Okay, maybe half banana, then maybe a small amount of rice and with dal or something, okay, the rich in nutrients, you can eat, no problem. Including for 7 times you can eat, there is no problem. But in bulk quantity, so going to the maybe marriage or otherwise a dining hall and eating, okay, this dumping the food, this will create a lot of complications. Okay, right. Next one is coming to the major area, COVID-19. So that is so today is the hero, is COVID-19. And so this is a disease caused by the new coronavirus called SARS-CoV-2. WHO, that's World Health Organization, the first learned of this new virus on 31st of December 2019. That is why the 19 is given for this virus. And the following a report of cluster of cases of viral pneumonia in Wuhan, the People's Republic of China, that is in China. So this is the first case reported, okay, in the 31st December, confirmed case. The very common and the most common symptoms of COVID-19, you know that, okay, because now all the students are educated and maybe oriented about what is COVID and how to avoid COVID and everything. So it is not a new information. And fever, dry cough and fatigue. And the next complications or other symptoms like loss of taste or smell, that is the first symptom, and nasal congestion, conjunctivitis, that is the red eyes, that is infection on the conjunctiva, and sore throat, headache, muscle or joint pain, different types of skin rashes, nausea or vomiting, diarrhea, chills or dizziness. So these are all the symptoms of the COVID-19 infection. Okay, especially the nasopharyngeal area, that is the main area, and this will act and penetrate into the body. So that is why they are getting the samples from inserting a swab, a sterile swab into the nose and touching that nasopharyngeal area. So this is the maybe the 3D shape of 3D conformation or 3D shape of the COVID-19, that is coronavirus. You can see this E protein, S protein is a spike protein, and M protein is a membrane protein. So this is this is the culprit. Okay, coming to the pathology of COVID-19. Pathology means what are the complications developed by the COVID-19 within the body. We can see one by one, and maybe I'll use a zoom also. Okay, zoom. Yes, SARS-CoV-2 infection. If there is no symptoms, there is no problem, because this will take 8 to 9 days of incubation period, and during this period you will not develop any major complication, and a small symptoms like sneezing and running nose or otherwise a sore throat maybe happen. So that is mild symptoms. No symptoms to mild symptoms. Next one is hypovolemia. The blood liquid, that is the blood volume is decreasing slowly. So that is the first symptom. And next one is cytokine storm. Storm means all the cytokines are liberated in a larger quantity from monocytes. TNF, IL-6, interleukin 6 and interleukin 8, interleukin 10. All the 4 are liberated in enormous amounts that will act on 2 areas. One is endothelial area, that will maybe have a role on its construction, and this will create a lot of complication in the kidney also. It's called as acute kidney injury. That means the blood supply is thinned to the kidney, and automatically the kidney's function is disturbed. Okay. Next one is the major area is lungs. So this is a major hotspot of COVID-19. That is, this virus will colonize and grow very fast in this area, and that will create a lot of complication and destruction of the tissues also. All the alveoli cells and the extreme the cells, epithelial cells will be damaged, and due to that the mechanical ventilation is required for the normal day-to-day life. That means ECMO is the very expensive thing. Now it is very economical now in India, because we got so many ECMO machines from abroad, and this ECMO will support. That's all. There is no surety this ECMO is will give the normal mechanical ventilation when compared to the normal respiration, and again this will be normal. So this recovery is based on the condition of the person, whether the person is affected with other complications like diabetes mellitus. If the person is having diabetes mellitus, the possibility of recovery is approximately 40 to 50% less. So that is why we took this topic today. So what is the relation between the COVID-19 and the diabetes? Why the diabetes is maybe acting more on, maybe the effect is more on COVID-19 patients. So really what is happening? What is the mechanism or scientific role on diabetes in COVID-19? So that is the focus of today's webinar. Due to this, due to the acute kidney injury, you can see that hypervolemia. This is hypovolemia, this is hypervolemia. That means the kidney function is retarded, and due to that hypervolemia may happen. This will affect on myocardial dysfunction and also endothelial damage and also lung enlargement. Okay, the fluid accumulation in the lungs also, this may happen. So these are all the complications. Just this is a live example. Okay, this is the CT scan image of the COVID-19 patient. Okay, with the diabetes mellitus. Okay, and I'll show this. Zoom in this one just to have a look. Okay, this is the CT scan image. This is lung. Okay, this is left lung and this is right lung, and this is heart. And you can see here, this is the area. Okay, white spots are there. Okay, these are all the white one, the hazy patches. Okay, the hazy patches on the edges of lungs, and it is indicated by arrows, the yellow arrows. You can see here. Okay, this is maybe once this lung tissues are damaged, that's all. Once for all, okay, this is damaged. The only one tissue in our body that is having the regeneration capacity is liver, not lung. A lung, one cell is killed means that cell is killed, that's all. It will not be replaced by another cell. Okay, so that is why the persons affected with the COVID-19, if they lost maybe 15 to 20% of their lung cells, it will not be normal again. So they have to live with the lesser lung function. So that is why we have to be very careful. And those who are having the diabetes mellitus, okay, they have to be very careful. Okay, and this is an example. And